Okay, so all right, I just recorded my reaction to Hell of a Boss's latest short, and I was doing that like more or less immediately after Spindlehorse finished doing a panel at some comic convention somewhere, and I learned through chat. Hello, chat. Say hi to YouTube. That apparently Spindlehorse is doing an animated adaptation of motherfucking Homestuck. Motherfucking Homestuck. Spindlehorse is doing. The studio that brought you Has Been Hotel is doing Homestuck. Is, I think 6 months ago that would have been a meme joke phrase, right? Like that would have been the kind of thing that you would say to give someone a heart attack. But now that's real. That's a thing that they're doing. And I have never been more happy that I deleted Twitter in my life. I have never been more happy that I'm not on Twitter anymore. Because, oh boy, the discourse about this is going to be insufferable. So, you'll probably hear me repeat a bunch of this once the Hell of a Boss reaction comes out a little bit later. Than, like I said, I recorded the Hell of a Boss reaction first. Now I'm recording this. Some of the stuff I'm about to see here is going to get repeated in the Hell of a Boss reaction. But I just want to set the stage here. If you don't know what Homestuck is, yes, you do. Or at least, if you don't know what Homestuck is, you have watched a piece of media, you've read a comic or a book, you have engaged with something that only exists because of Homestuck. For example, Undertale and Deltarune exist very directly because of motherfucking Homestuck. Toby Fox originated a lot of his creative projects. A lot of the things that are in Deltarune and Undertale began in Toby Fox's like Homestuck fan projects, including na 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 na. That's from a fucking. That is a. Before that was an iconic Undertale song. That was an iconic, like fucking Homestuck song. And there are so many creatives who like grew up on the internet in the early 2000s, who have gone on to do things that you have heard about, who got their creative start in Homestuck fan circles, right? Like where Homestuck as a creative community was their starting point, and the things that they make still today are like influenced by their time in the Homestuck fandom. And yes, I also know like Megalovania was also a Earthbound fan song, like a song for an Earthbound ROM hack, I think. That Toby Fox did, but it was also an Homestuck song. Like he has used that song a few times. So you've never heard of Homestuck, but you have heard of Homestuck, right? You have been influenced by it in some way, shape, or form. I promise you, some kind of media that you love, somewhere in there's probably a Homestuck fan who brought their influences with them. And if you ever talk to a Homestuck fan, they'll go, "Oh yeah, that's the Jim Eggman character, and that's the June Ladybug or whatever it is that I once I knew the characters' names. This one was inspired by that, and that one was inspired like where they will draw those lines and parallels for you. That's just the reality of being on the internet. So if you don't know Homestuck, yes, you do. I know Homestuck tangentially in the sense that I was on the internet in the 2000s when Homestuck was really, really big. I have seen the fan trolls. I know about the person with the bathtub and the marker on the skin. Like, I know the things that sort of leaked out into the, I have a very sort of vague understanding of what Homestuck is as a multimedia, long-running, like one of the most epic webcomics ever created projects. I know a little bit about it tangentially from somewhere outside of the actual thing. I have stood on the sidelines, I have watched the fireworks, but I've never gone into the theme park, right? That's my level of engagement and understanding of Homestuck. And now Spindlehorse is doing an adaptation, and I'm full of dread a little bit, because if this is going to be an adaptation where the animation is just okay, like it's just okay, right? Like it's good, it's fine, it's perfectly serviceable, then I can probably ignore it. I could probably be like, yeah, maybe this is not my thing. I'm not really interested. And maybe I don't have to do a whole reaction series to the thing. Unless, of course, you people keep yelling at me to do it, which you will. But if the animation is good, if the animation is like, oh shit, like this is something that I kind of want to look at and see, then I'm gonna have to watch it. And if I watch it, here's the problem. Here's the problem with the way that my brain works. If I start watching the show, at the very least, I'm going to start browsing the wiki, or one of the wiki. There's many. I would imagine there's probably a lot of Homestuck wikis, but I'm going to have to read the wiki a little bit to get some context about, oh, they're adapting this thing, and this is that. Okay, I get it. Like, to sort of maybe understand some of the references a little bit. And once I start reading the wiki, like, the wiki is going to go, oh, that happened in this episode. And I'm going to be like, okay, I probably need to read that episode then to get the full context. Then before you know it, I fucking read Homestuck. Before you know it, that fucking mind virus will burrow its way into my fucking cortex. And the next time you see this little fucking avatar, he's gonna be gray and have horns. So I'm a little apprehensive. You know, I'm a little like, okay, like I'm bracing myself here for what this trailer is gonna look like. Because if this is animated too well, God help me, I could be in trouble. I could be in real trouble of having to engage, like me, terrible thing could happen to me. I would have to actively engage with one of the most influential pieces of internet media that's ever been created. And what a terrible fate for me. I have a lot of respect for Homestuck as a piece of media. I have a lot of respect for the things that it influenced and the things that it has created. Like, I will joke about it and I'll make light of it and stuff like that, but I do want everyone who watches this to understand, I respect Homestuck a lot from a distance, right? I have long ago concluded that whatever Homestuck is, I knew it was the kind of thing that if I started engaging with it deeply, it would probably eat me alive from the inside, especially back when I was a teenager. As an adult, I'm probably more resistant, but who knows? Anyway, let's watch the trailer for this thing. It's 50 seconds long, so, you know, we'll probably be here for less than an hour.
Happy birthday, bro! Did the beta come yet?
I think it arrived, but my dad probably has it. I've been trying to... I've been trying to avoid him, as you can well imagine.
John, you're not wearing one of your silly disguises, are you? It would be a shame to make a fool of yourself in front of a gentleman such as your father.
Look in the sky, numbnuts!
What's that?
Heat, I guess. So, Spindle-Roo, then. Spindle-Roo is, as I understand it from chatter from the chat, is like the Australian sub-studio that's been spun up by Spindlehorse to sort of handle the main production on this trailer. I will say, this is a trailer for the fans, very clearly, because there's a lot of things in here that feels like, a lot of this feels like references. A lot of this like feels like, oh, this is referencing that, this is referencing that. Like, this is a trailer that's designed for fans of the thing to look at and go, oh, that's the thing! Like, pointing Leo at the thing. Oh, that's the thing! They're doing the thing! That's the thing I remember from the thing! Nothing more feels like that than whatever the fuck is going on with this solarized picture and the hat and the disguise. These background drawings, someone is looking at those, pointing at them, going, oh, that's the thing from the thing! So, like, I definitely feel alienated from it a little bit in that this trailer, and I'm not saying, like, I don't know about the show, but this trailer is definitely created specifically to get fans of the show, like, or fans of the webcomic excited by, like, it's referencing the thing, which is the thing from the thing and the thing. So I don't really know how to parse a lot of this. Exactly. Okay, so I'd say the animation quality that I'm seeing is... It's an odd comparison to make, but it's it's kind of on the level of something like the more elaborate shots in a Jaden Animations video. It's kind of on the level of something like YouTube animators when they do like the one shot in like one of their episodes that's like really well animated to make a point, like with the one that they clearly put more effort into. That sort of seems to be where this is operating at all times. And like probably a little bit beyond that. So, okay, the animation is definitely good. It's not mind-blowing. Like, it's not... I didn't see any shots like the rotational shots and those sort of 3D camera shots that they use in, like, Hell of a Boss and things like that. So I'm not convinced yet. I'm not convinced. I'll probably watch the first episode, but I'm not convinced that I'll engage. Because, like, again, this is a trailer that I think is very, very strongly made to appeal to fans who know what the fuck all of this is. And because I don't know what I'm supposed to get excited about for this show beyond it's the thing from the thing with the reference to the other thing. And that's fine. Like, that's a trailer that's made for fans, right? At some point later, I would hope that they'd put out a trailer for people who don't know what the fuck Homestuck is. And sort of let the rest of us know what to get excited about for this show beyond it's the thing from the thing. But that's just a case of me not being the audience for it. What I'm more interested in then, given that, like, the narrative is not really giving me any reason to get excited for any of this because I have no context for what any of this means. So aesthetically, there's a couple of interesting things going on, which, like, Homestuck as I remember it, like, that's the other thing about the art style. Homestuck as I remember it was like a pixel art thing, right? It was MS Paint Adventures, I think it was called, once upon a time. And it had, like, a very deliberately lo-fi style. It had a very deliberately MS Paint-esque style in a lot of cases. And then occasionally it would sort of break out of the boundaries of that, like, with little pieces of custom animation, and like very impressive bits of flash animation and things like that to sort of pepper in between regular installments of the thing. And so it's interesting that, and again, I don't know, like, Homestuck could have developed a lot since the times when I used to see screenshots of it around. But certainly the visual style did not remind me of what I remember Homestuck being. Like, it does not remind me of the aesthetic of MS Paint Adventures or things like that. It has an aesthetic that I would consider substantially more grounded in the present day of YouTube animation. Like, I don't make the Jaden Animations comparison, like the odd ones out and things like that. I don't make that comparison just because, oh, the characters are black and white. It's also something about, like, the approach to storyboarding. It's something about the approach to, like, line drawing, the approach to line weight. Like, see here, for example. This thing where the characters internally have one line weight, which is a little bit thinner, and then they have like an extra thick outline around themselves to separate them from the background. Those sorts of choices are much more of a current era of, like, this specific style of, like, Toon Boom, sort of like post-Flash derived animation. Like, you can see them doing the same thing in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, right? So this feels much more modern. Like, this feels definitely much more contemporary. Whereas, like, in my head, if you had said a Homestuck animated TV show, I would have been like, oh, okay, so they'll do it in, like, a pixel art style or like something deliberately very lo-fi. Instead, they're going for something that's deliberately much more graphical and much more sort of illustrative. Right? Backgrounds like these, for example, like these painted backgrounds where you can see they're using these, like, brushes with, like, paint effects in them, and, like, a very sort of, like, TV animation approach to, like, color and lighting. Like a dramatic pullback shot like this, right? Where all we're really doing is we're zooming out from a JPEG of the background, but we're animating the character a little bit in order to really sell the idea of, like, a retreating shot. Feels very of the contemporary animation era in an interesting way. Now, why does it look kind of like this? No, this is just a shadow. And yeah, like there's definitely parts of this animation that look like... I want the full context of the scene. But like, look at the way they're animating the flames on this little cake here. Like, because they're doing like a rotation thing. Like, they're pretending like they're rotating the camera to look at Hammer Boy over here. Right? So again, they're animating the character in order to affect the idea. Does DOS emit docimite? Huh. And like there's lots of smears and things that are happening in motions and movement in the show that I'm genuinely quite pleased to see. Let me see, what was it? It was the shot of the guy jumping back from the thing here. Yeah, like some very nice smearing and breaking. Like a clearly affected sort of isometric, semi-isometric view of the thing. Okay, so if I wanted to try and suss out... There's definitely like a father-son conflict theme here. Something about a birthday cake, which the son is unwilling to accept, but which the father is, I guess, insistent about. Like, here's a very impressive shot, right? Like, here's one of like a classic sort of anime fight scene-ass shot, where the guy's pulling cakes out of hammer space, basically. I like the way that these things are animated coming out and popping into like folder icon. That's the thing, like you can see that lo-fi influence, right? Like you can see the MS Paint Adventures, the Windows 95, 2000 pixelation aesthetic is like it shows up in little odd places in there. What I'd be curious about from an aesthetic perspective about a show like this is like, because as we talked about, like it doesn't look like it's really adopting much of that early 2000s lo-fi aesthetic, but there are definitely places where it shows up. Like this, for example, like the solarized picture of just some guy. That was the kind of thing that you saw all over the place, because like solarized pictures like these are pretty good for GIF compression, right? So if you want to put a picture like that online, you don't want to use too much data. Solarizing it, compressing it into a low color GIF is a good way to do it. So you'd see a lot of these kinds of images around on the early internet because it was just a way to save data on compression when you were like uploading things to a website. So like there are these lo-fi elements that show up, right? But then you have like this person at this laptop, which is like, that seems much more modern than something that you would have had as a laptop back in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, I guess. There's an odd blend of like modernity and retro happening here. That meteor looks great, by the way. Like that fucking look at the structure of like the flames and like the little networks underneath the surface, and like the way that the flames and the smoke is rendered coming off. That's a fucking gorgeous ass looking meteor. That's another thing about Homestuck, like the character design, right? The character design style of Homestuck emerged out of the limitations of its aesthetic, right? Like there was these MS Paint adventures. I've seen a million fan trolls, and part of the, like, it sort of does the same thing that Sonic the Hedgehog does, right? Which is the sense of like Sonic the Hedgehog characters are a very, very basic, simple template over which you can alter a few details, you can change the color, you can add a different hairstyle or whatever, and then you can say this is like the bitch fuck the rabid duck or whatever, and now you have a new Sonic character, right? Like you can do very, very little in order to create a new version of it. That's part of why Homestuck fan trolls got so much fan art, is because the aesthetic of Homestuck and the way that it designed its characters, especially the trolls, with this very limited color palette and like a very small number of specific identifying features, it was very easy to mix and remix on, right? It was very easy to mix and remix on. It was very easy to make fan trolls. It was very easy to make fan characters. It was very easy to engage with the story on that level because its aesthetic was so lo-fi, was so simple, that pretty much anyone could work with it. And like, again, one of the things about, like, you have seen Homestuck shit before. There are characters posting their, like, artists posting their work online right now, where at least one of their OCs is a reworked fan troll, and you would never know, right? Because among the Homestuck community, like, fan trolls and fan characters within the Homestuck style were so commonly the starting point for a lot of people's creative developments that, like, they'll have gone on to make professional work of various kinds where, like, they're a character that they developed first when they were 12 years old as a fan troll, like, so just sort of evolved over time with them in order to become something completely new and basically unrecognizable. And that's part of the character design style of the thing, is this extreme simplicity that allows for imitation and engagement. That's very accessible in that way. And I wonder if the show can pull that off, because that might be why the style is chosen to be the way that it is. Like, that might be part of why the style is very contemporary YouTube animation, is because it's familiar in the same way that MS Paint doodles were familiar. Like, that's the thing, like, the early internet, MS Paint doodles, everyone does MS Paint doodles. Everyone has MS Paint on their computer. MS Paint is accessible. Everyone can do a little character in an MS Paint style, right? That's part of the appeal of the aesthetic, is that MS Paint is incredibly accessible. It was also often associated with, like, low quality work, but it was easy. It was accessible. Everyone could load up MS Paint and, like, modify a Homestuck character to be their own original OC. So I wonder if the sort of contemporary looking YouTube animation style is chosen, at least in part, because it kind of has that same power. Like, it kind of has that same level of achievable simplicity, in the sense, like, this character is like, their head is a circle, right? Their body is a flour sack, essentially, right? Like, it's a very simple thing to render. It's a very simple thing to draw. And so it's a very simple thing to engage with. I wonder if that's part of the reason why the aesthetic is chosen the way that it is. Also, of course, having a fairly simple character design style means that it's a lot easier to do shots like this, because you don't have to animate like a complicated Genshin Impact-ass character trying to do it. Oh, hey, that's the silhouette of the little sprites that they used to use. Like I said, references. I like the squash and stretch here a lot. Like, we're turning into it, and then we're, like, really emphasizing, like, he's pulling the hammer before it moves, and then the hammer is gonna follow along. And then this mysterious teleporting slender boy ass, my sword has a mustache guy. And then this icon. I remember seeing this icon around a lot. Don't know what it refers to, but okay. Okay. So, nothing in the pilot here convinced me that this is something I'm gonna have to engage with. I want to wait, like, presumably, if they're working on the same level that Spindlehorse does across their other studios, they'll have saved some Sakuga for something else at some point. And maybe at that point I'm gonna have to get into it. But for the moment, I feel like I could probably let them post like a few episodes of this show and just see how it shakes out before I decide whether to engage with it or not. I may have been spared from needing to become a Homestucker for now. Not that it looks bad or anything, just this trailer was clearly not meant to sell me as an outsider on it. It was meant to excite the people who are already fans of the thing, which I think it probably does really well. Yeah, a lot of cool anime shit happening in this particular scene. I love me a good flash frame for that parry. But yeah, the background design, again, like, it's clearly emulating... Like I said, Homestuck was deliberately, specifically very simple. The background style here with these, like, white, fairly featureless rooms and, like, these sort of solarized, blurred out things. This very simple background geometry. I feel like it's meant to emulate that and sort of play to that aesthetic. I don't know how well it works for me. Again, it depends on the context. Like, the pure white and gray design background and the fact that the dad character, who's a gentleman, I guess, is so specifically, like, faceless and black and white relative to the colorfulness that exists outside of that home environment. I wonder if that's just about emulating the art style of the comic, or if that's about communicating something about the nature of the home life of Wormshirt Hammer Boy over here. Like, the intrusion of achromacicity to... Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how much I like this, because I don't understand the context yet. I guess I'm curious. I think my reaction is that I'm curious, even if I don't quite know what to make of it. That's probably enough to say about Stonehuck for the moment. I really hope this makes the fans of Homestuck happy, I will say. Like, I really hope, because, like, I know that there's been an adventure game in the works, a point-and-click adventure game for, like, 8 years or something like that. I know that Homestuck has kind of had a slightly disappointing fizzle out, I think, in sort of the later years of the thing. Sort of seeming to have been stuck in a bit of creative rut for various reasons. Maybe some mismanagement. I don't really know the details of it. So I just hope that this makes Homestuck fans happy, right? Like, makes them happy to see the thing that they love being kept alive in some way, shape, or form. But I am not convinced yet, as an outsider. But that was clearly not the point either. Anyway, that's... Oh, God, I still talked about it for half an hour. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Now I'm gonna record Gaslight District, because if that's what I was originally intending to do tonight before Spindlehorse decided to fuck over my schedule like I'm Danny Mata.